in the junior category this time around, but he's only been racing with us for not that long, so plenty of opportunities if you've not made it through this year to have a crack when BIKC comes around in 2022. As the drivers now take their karts for their next heat, and we get ready to start racing again.
Also, Jennifer Tompkins, shout out to Dave the mechanic. Now, I'm not going to shout out to Dave the mechanic, right? Dave the mechanic, right? I actually took on Dave the mechanic, right? Literally in the early 2000s, and in the first week, he set the fire extinguisher off in the fuel bar. Yeah, and I still haven't forgiven him about it. Still have not forgiven him. So, Jennifer, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do a shout out to Dave the mechanic. He doesn't need a shout out. He doesn't even need a shout out. So, here we go. We've got Teamsport Maps plugging one of his tracks. Of course I would. Of course I would. Right, okay. Hyper Fours, I would have loved to get through the locals. How are the big kart times?
Yeah, adult karts seem to be running in the 58s at the moment. We were talking last time, are we going to get any members of the 59 club? It's members of the 58 club we're looking at this time. Fastest time we've seen in them so far, I believe, around about the 58.5 mark. So that gives you an idea of what the karts are running. Compared to what we had last year, thinking about karts running, we've got karts on the grid. So drivers now getting ready for what will be their second heat. And it looks like the 34 on pole position there. Charlie Blenkinsop is going to be taking the field around.
I think we may have them have to look and see how they're on the grid, but they are in slightly different order. So it's actually going to be 31, Charlie Bradburn. That will be the driver in pole position with, we've got two Charlies. Here we go. This isn't going to be confusing at all, Tom, is it? We've got Charlie Bradburn in pole position and then Charlie Blenkinsop, who is in second. We've got Arthur Way lining up third on the grid. Ross Spencer lining up fourth. Freddie Farrell, a lot of love in the social media for Freddie Farrell. He lines up in fifth with Arthur Frey in sixth. Jacob Lammers in seventh. Tyrone Masters is in eighth. Ilya is in ninth, and Cassidy, who has been very, very fast so far, lining up in 10th position. It's going to be really, really interesting to see what progress Cassidy can make through the drivers. All points to the final heat, starting somewhere near the front, I would say. And we've got Rory Hamilton bringing up the rear in 11th position. We are just literally at this moment plonking in the correct position. In fact, no, that's 35, Jacob Lammers. So a few karts are going to have to be manoeuvred or re-manoeuvred as they're doing. And then we will go for the parade lap. And has to be said, there's a good parade laps as well so far. And even though it sounds a little bit obvious, but we do have a few challenging parade laps, or have done in BIKC in the previous set of finals that we had. But if the cadets, if they're anything to judge here, then it's going to be better. So we are awaiting them to leave the grid. And here we go. Yeah, we're just doing a little bit of pointing and maneuvering. And 31, Charlie Bradburn, is very much on his way on the parade lap. So now they're going to have to go. We're going really slowly here, so they are going to have to. I wonder if they're going to end up. They're going to go really slow, I think, because they haven't gone around the second hairpin yet. So there's a lot of maneuvering. In fact, they're re-gridding around the next hairpin to make sure that they are all in the correct order.
Yeah, like we spotted, it looks like a couple of drivers maybe came out the pits in the wrong order, but to answer a question you just spotted in YouTube chat, yes, these are the new Biz Evo 3 Cadets. We also have a nice fleet of Biz Evo 3 Adults. The main difference for what these drivers have, these drivers are normally experienced, is these run a 160cc engine instead of the 120s that most other sites have run. They're also a little bit bigger in terms of size, so you should be able to carry the speed a little bit better through the corners. Maybe see some drivers altering their lines throughout the course of the competition. They also feel maybe a little bit smaller for some of the drivers as they get in, as Team Sport Karting reckons Mabs is the next Murray Walker. Well, if you're Murray Walker, that makes me Martin Brundle, the driver, not quite fast enough to make it.
Indeed, we got some more great stuff coming on the chat. Christopher Ball said, shout out surely to Liz Anya, driving in juniors for Cardiff. So it's good to get in early, Christopher, is what I would say. On that shout out, you've got in about 3 hours earlier, I'll say, because the juniors will be coming up after the cadets that we are running at the moment. And here we are, we are on track. Will we get a green light? Will we? Look at, we can't, because 31 is on a different track virtually. 31 has just legged it and already has about a 3-second lead on the parade lap. So there was no way that we were going to start at that particular point. And a few drivers there might actually think that we are racing, because there's a few good overtaking maneuvers if you don't take into account that the drivers are actually driving around at walking speed. So we're going to do this all over again, and you can see it's very difficult when you're all bunched up like this to keep your position, because a lot of these corners you do end up going around side by side, and it is a bit of a racer's instinct really, that when, even though you're on a parade lap, if you are alongside someone, just to try and keep the cart there. They're still a bit spread out, I'll be honest. They're going to have to do a bit of a job here to really bunch them up, but there's no doubt that 31 Charlie Bradburn wants a fast parade lap here, and the drivers behind are not really. Again, he's too far in front, I would personally say, to start this one.
Yeah, it looks like he just wants to get this off and running. It's a very good chance now that they're going to have to pull him to one side again and try and regrid. I think the one thing that's got these guys maybe a little bit riled is the fact that these are 2x2 rolling starts this time round. Last year, we did single file rolling starts, which a little bit easier, a little bit harder to have any issues with. As you can see, the Clarks bringing the drivers to a stop as they give them a couple of tips on how to get through the rolling start properly. A couple of tips going towards the front row men. Timer pause once again, but these guys have spent around about 2 minutes. Just touching on something in there, I can't believe already you've already been done by chat is trolling you completely. Liz Anya, really? That took you a minute to spot that one, but already chat trying to play games with the commentary box. Honestly, absolutely love it. That's what we're here for. We all want to have a bit of fun, and that is just what Team Sport is all about. But the drivers now going to be sat on the grid as we get going once again. That is the second chance of getting this one going. Nice and slow, guys. We want to keep a nice tight formation as we head through the third hairpin, the 31 of Charlie Bradburn and Charlie Blenkinsop on the front in the 34, controlling the pace as they come under the Dunlop Bridge. We look to see if we get a green light again. Looks like they've gone a little bit too far. Look like they've gone a little bit too fast. The 31 has dropped the throttle and he's gone already way too early. So false start once again. That's the second one in this race. And the first time, I think we've had a heat go for 2 false starts. And looks like we're going to have another cracker getting this one going again as the drivers now, you can see the 34 just signalling to the rest of the field. Stay up with me, stay close with me. That's what we need to do. We need to make sure we're keeping a nice tight formation as we head up towards the start-finish line. But once again, it looks like we're going to have to get them back in formation and, yeah, get them ready to go. Again, you see the 31 of Bradburn now back right off to get them going. Time is still paused here as well, so Clark's doing everything they can to get these guys as much racing as possible. See the guys on the top now, that is Ben Savory, as he's known within Team Sports quite affectionately as Bieber, because of his slight relation to a Canadian pop, look-alike to a Canadian pop star, which he definitely loves. Resemblance, that's the word. Too focused on the racing out there. But yep, third time is a charm. We're going to give these guys another shot to see if we can get this race underway. And I think the tension now is starting to build even further as we go through the heats. The 31 still in single file. We need these gents in 2x2. Like I say, some drivers, this is brand new for indoor karting for the cadets. We don't normally do 2x2 rolling starts for these guys. They're going to bring them back under control, go back through, make sure they've got all the information, all the tools they need to get through the BIKC heats. And hopefully we can get rocking and rolling as the drivers pop back onto the dummy grid once again.
You never know. One of these drivers might be in a bit of trouble because we're going to do single file, I think, in order to make sure this heat gets away. But is it 31 Charlie's fault for driving a bit too fast, or is it number 34 Charlie's fault for not quite keeping in touch with the pole position driver? So there's no doubt that we need to do a little bit of work here with these drivers in this particular heat just to make sure that we can start it nice and fairly. And we've gone really to plan B on this one. It's going to be single file. And I think that should make things a great deal simpler for the drivers to get around to the start-finish straight. Loads of comments now flying in. Lots of people asking where people are from and who they're representing. We've got Callum Bone says it's from Dundee, come all the way to Warrington. And Christopher Ball, love you guys, keep it up. Thank you very much. I was only joking, obviously, with the comment of the premature shout out. Will we get a green light? Will we get a green light? Surely, surely, yes we do. And we are racing, and Charlie Bradburn, he got what he wanted in the end. He got a great start and he goes through the first few corners in the lead. And he is, you could just sense the determination here. Charlie Bleckensop in second position at the moment, and there's to closing up a little bit there. So Charlie Bradburn with a great start, but no doubt that Charlie Bleckensop does have a little bit of extra pace there, with Arthur Way holding on to third place.
Yeah, top three now starting to move away in a bit of a train. Looks like he's still got Ross Spencer and Freddie Farrell just behind the 30 and the 28. Nose to tail just behind as they drop down the ramp for the first time. Top three looks like they do have a nice little gap there. Arthur Way dropping down. He's got the Lightning McQueen helmet as they head through in towards the first hairpin. And it looks like Blenkensop already trying to make a move for the lead. There's the 26th Arthur Way sitting back, just waiting to cash in if these two in front come to grief. But you can just see some packs starting to form now as we look at the 29 of Cassidy Southall. They start heading through. Looks like they've made up a couple of positions already off the start from 10th place. Believe they're going to pop through in P8 at the expense of Arthur Freya and Tyrone Masters in the 36 and the 33 respectively as they head under the mezzanine for the second time of asking. There's still the 31 of Bradburn holding on from Blenkensop and Arthur Way. Those three drivers inseparable, with Ross Spencer and Freddie Farrell just behind. We've seen it loads of times. We saw it in the Nationals last year. It does normally pay to form these temporary alliances with other drivers, work together, push on, especially around this circuit. It's a power circuit. It requires a lot of speed, a lot of skill to get these karts through the corners properly. And those two drivers working together now to try and overhaul the 1.4 second gap that the top three have built up so far. Looks like Blenkensop in the 34. He's looking to the inside, maybe got a tiny little overlap, backed out of it this time, wary of picking up a penalty point. The 26 to the outside might actually have them look like he was fully alongside there, but the 34 of Blenkensop just showed him the door, and it looks like that has been enough to give Bradburn another couple of attempts into his back pocket as they cross the line here. The gap is up now to a second from 3/10, so it just shows how much things can change here at BIKC. And you can see already the 30 and the 28, they've been keeping it clean, pushing each other on, and that's brought them into this fight. What was a 3-kart fight for the lead is now a 4-kart fight for second place.
And you can just see that the lap times have dropped off with all that time of being stationary or driving around this course at such a slow speed. The tyres have obviously just dropped off a little bit. Maybe it might be because some of the previous heats were very, very fast, but the lap times we're clocking in now are dramatically different in their 109.5, which is what we're doing. A lot of chat going on about grid starts, and yeah, we had to go to the single file. I don't think we had much choice there to go to single file, as we had 2 attempts here trying to get this one started. But 26 Arthur Way there is really trying. He's on the outside. He's trying to just get a little bit of extra space. He's going to try the old switcheroo, but no, not quite enough momentum. But he is right behind driver number 34, and it is a checkered flag. And Charlie Bradburn wins his heat, and he was really determined to make that happen all the way through that start. When he got that start, he pulled away, and he just did not look back. Drove a little bit strategically to make sure he had his car positioned on exactly the right part of the course to keep Charlie Bleckensop and Arthur Way behind.
Yeah, so once we got going, there was a decent little battle at the front of the field, but the victory does go the way of Charlie Bradburn. Fastest lap of that race does go to Charlie Blenkensop. 68.1 seconds is what he managed in that one, 4/10 of the gap over the line. as the drivers now file back into the pit lane. Charlie Blenkinsop's has quite a lot of experience around this track over the last couple of days. He spent quite a lot of time running quite a few laps around here. He almost knows this track like the back of his hand, so hopefully he's going to be using some of that knowledge to his advantage in the latter heats to move up the order. I believe now we are down to the final heat now for each of the groups. 4 heats in the book and 2 more left to run.